Okay, so there's no specific game I want to go over today, but it's more over the overall shape of the board gaming industry. So, you may have noticed by now that I don't review brand new board games very often. And that's not because I don't really enjoy hot off the press games. In fact, sometimes I'm guilty of that, buying every new game that comes out just because it's new and just because there's a lot of hype around it. That being said, there's this trend that you don't really have to look very hard to find. That when a new game pops up, everyone starts to swoon over it. Over its new mechanics, its beautifully sculpted minis, about how it's gonna change board games because it has something new that the rest of them don't. How this one is an epic, like never before. So, reviewers flock to it. Everyone zooms in on this one game and they tell you that this is it. This is the game of the year, the game of the century, and yet very few, and I mean an incredibly small amount of games, hold that wonder that was forced down your throat and into your wallet. In 2 weeks, those shouts of joy are reduced to whispers, and then about a month after that, that brand new game is still sitting in shrink silently on your shelf while you boast about another one. Now, whether they notice it or not, this is somewhat driven by reviewers, just like me. In fact, it almost is definitely driven by reviewers. But that's no fault of them. They're just as excited about the games as everyone else, myself included. But in the long run, sometimes we take our favorite reviewer's word as gospel. So when that reviewer you're subscribed to posts a new video about this week's game and just boasts about how perfect it is, how it changes how you think board games is, how it will redefine your favorite Euro game or your favorite Ameritrash game or your favorite dice chucker card layer, you just get that feeling that you need it. And so most of the time, if you have the money, you go out and pick it up. And while Dungeons and Dragons will never go away, we see this problem in role-playing games as well. With things like Tales from the Loop, which came out with a splash, is a beautiful game, and I haven't seen anyone play it in months. Does that mean this game got any worse? No. It's the same exact book, it's the same exact print. People just moved on. There's a reason Twilight Imperium has been out for 20 or more years in different iterations and different reprints. It's a great game, but it's also an epic that redefined an era. So what dictates whether this stays around and something else leaves? And the answer to that question, I have no idea. I'm sure there's some statistics or something that calculate how board games come and go, but I know I've seen absolutely fantastic games just fade out of existence. Great. I have seen absolutely fantastic games fade out of existence, and I'm not sure exactly why. Now, if you haven't noticed, the games I review are usually last month's or even last year's games. Now, I'm reviewing these games not because I think I'm going to be the first one on the bandwagon for these. I've obviously missed that by a long time, but because I think these games are still incredible games. In my eyes, they have held up perfectly to the test of time like an old wood table your grandmother passed down. They still work perfectly and have that spark of weathered beauty. This being said, I understand why people wonder why I'm not covering this month's games. Why when Gloomhaven came out, I was silently covering Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. This is usually because I haven't had enough time to enjoy the new game. Even if I had a week straight to just play a game, to learn all about it and to feel how it feels, it still won't bring back the longevity of a game and really figure out if it should stay in my collection forever. Basically, as sad as this is, whenever I lose all hype for a game and I still really enjoy it, that's when I decide to review it. In this way, when you see me excited enough about a game to make a review about it, you know it's a legitimate reaction to everything about the game and how it has kind of settled down into a permanent place in my collection. So this is the reason that in my first video I said I want to review my collection. I want you to see what's worth sticking around and what will actually come off the shelf for years to come and not just collect dust. I guess what I'm saying is this might not be a great place for board gaming news. Mainly because there are so many other great channels for that devote all of their time to exactly that, to tell you what's coming out, to what to look for, what's beautiful and what has great mechanics. And I'm gonna put some of those links below just to send you out there if you want to see what's coming out this week, what's coming out next week, what's coming out months down the line, and what you should look for if you're into this game, that game, or whatever. But if you want to find a game that for years to come, despite its scuffed cards and fading box, will always love you back, welcome. Thanks so much for watching. I'm hoping to get at least one more video out before Christmas, but we'll see about that. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who's subscribing and liking videos. And if you haven't already, subscribe and you'll get to see a whole bunch more that are coming out hopefully very, very soon on board gaming and role-playing games and everything in between. And some will just be talks like this, just talking about the industry as a whole. So thanks again. You guys have a good one. Play some games for the holidays.